Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has blasted European countries for blocking his plane from travelling through their airspace, forcing him to cancel a diplomatic trip to Serbia. Bulgaria, Macedonia and Montenegro refused a request from Moscow for the flight to pass through because of sanctions imposed over Russia's military action in Ukraine. Mr. Lavrov has called it a diplomatic snub, and he's said it's unthinkable, accusing the nations of preventing Russia from conducting foreign policy.
Но в любом случае, по всем другим каналам эти контакты никуда не исчезают. Мы пригласили Николу Силаковича, министра иностранных дел, посетить в самое ближайшее время Россию с визитом. Надеюсь, что самолет, на котором он будет лететь, рейсовый или специальный, не подвергнется очередному позорному наказанию со стороны потерявшего, в общем-то, все приличия Брюсселя и его клиентов.
On the ground in Ukraine, Russia claims to have destroyed buildings repairing armed vehicles in Kharkiv. Ukraine's military says the invaders are fortifying their positions in the region. At the same time, reports that a top Russian general has died fighting in Luhansk. Russian state media confirmed his death and say that he was leading an assault on the Ukrainian settlement. Reports on the deaths of high-ranking Russian commanders have been hazy since the war began. Kyiv claims to have killed 12 generals, while Western intelligence reports 7 dead. Meanwhile, Britain is sending its first long-range missiles to Ukraine, following the US decision to provide similar weapons systems, giving Kyiv a fighting chance against Russian long-range rocket strikes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he's received confirmation of a new defense package from Britain. The move defies Russian President Vladimir Putin's warning to the West that sending long-range missiles to Kyiv will provoke Moscow to strike targets that they have not attacked yet. For more, Philip Crowther joins us live now from Lviv in Ukraine. Philip, Russia has blasted EU countries for blocking the foreign minister's plane from travelling to Serbia. He's not happy about that. Does this move further risk stoking tensions, though, in the region?
Well, there certainly have been a lot of warnings from the Russian side now, a lot of warnings and threats. The more serious one from the Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, who you just mentioned, is this one. He says if those Western weapon systems are indeed sent to Ukraine, then Russia might try to take up even more territory of Ukraine. Now, importantly, we should look at the word try, because Russia has done that before, tried to take territory outside the capital city, Kiev, and failed to do so. Also, when we look at those weapons that have been promised to Ukraine over the last few days, and this confirmation from the United Kingdom that it will be sending what looked like to be medium-range missile systems, that's the important difference to make here. Long-range missiles can make it hundreds of kilometers to hit targets potentially inside Russia. And that is something that the United States and the United Kingdom have told Ukraine quite clearly. They don't want Ukraine doing that out of fears of escalating this war even further. These medium-range rockets that Ukraine will be getting are able to hit targets 80 kilometers away. That should keep things within Ukrainian territory. Of course, you never know exactly what's going to happen on the ground. Over the weekend, we heard also a reaction from the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, to that possibility of advanced Western rocket systems being sent to the front lines here in Ukraine. And his was another veiled threat, a vague one as well, but a threat nonetheless, saying that Russia would, quote, hit the facilities that we haven't struck yet. Now, there's another thing that's worth noting here when it comes to these advanced weapon systems that will be coming to Ukraine soon, relatively soon, because what we heard from the Pentagon at the moment that the United States promised these deliveries is that they would take 3 weeks to get here. Those weapons from the United Kingdom also need Ukrainian soldiers to be trained in the United Kingdom for them to be able to use those weapons eventually. They will not be on the front lines tomorrow. It will take a while.
Philip, there have been many brutal days for the people of Ukraine during this war, and now President Zelensky is making a rare visit to the front lines. Is he confident that the war can go the way he wants it to, for him to win?
Well, you know, he appears to be simply by being there in the first place. These were risky trips that he took. And another one, the only other one that he took outside of the capital city, Kiev, was to Kharkiv, which is an area and a city that are still being fought over right now. Kharkiv being a city that is still being shelled by Russian forces. This trip was much more dangerous to the front lines in Luhansk and Donetsk, where, by the way, according to the governor of Luhansk, Sergei Haidai, the situation is, quote, worse. It would appear that Ukraine has lost some of the ground it made up in the city of Severodonetsk that has been fought over for weeks now. He says that Russia is, quote, destroying everything and is using, in his words, scorched earth tactics. It does make you think that what is happening in Severodonetsk and in other cities in the eastern Donbass region could be similar to what happened to Mariupol, almost total destruction of cities before Russia maybe eventually takes control. Now, about those two visits by Volodymyr Zelensky to the front lines, he met troops in the Luhansk and in the Donetsk region, got awfully close to that front line near Severodonetsk, a very brave thing to do for the Ukrainian authorities. And then there are other front lines, of course, in Ukraine. Remember that there are many places in this country that are being fought over right now, and that's where Russia's announcement comes in that a missile hit a factory that was repairing armored vehicles. This was in the Kharkiv region in the northeast of the country. This is according to Moscow. There has not been a confirmation of that from Ukraine.
Philip, thank you. Philip Crowther there in Lviv.